Okay. So welcome to another session for Certified Internal Auditor, Part 2, and specifically study unit number 2, Assurance Engagements. And the topic which we are going to have a discussion is in context of CSA, Control Self-Assessment. First, you should have an understanding what this CSA is. We had a discussion about this in the previous lecture, but before proceeding further towards the different kinds of approaches for CSA, let's take a quick recap with respect to the CSA. CSA itself implies the assessment with respect to the control self-assessment. So that means whether we talk about managers, whether we talk about employees, whether we talk about internal auditors, everybody in the organization should participate in analyzing as such if there is any kind of risk involved. So whether internal controls are appropriate or not. So that means it becomes a joint responsibility. So what this, control self-assessment, we are hereby not talking about as such the internal audit function. We are setting it aside for the time being for, sorry. We are having a discussion with respect to control self-assessment. So that means it is the collective responsibility of everybody in the organization, especially the managers and the internal auditors and everybody else in the organization to participate. And let me take you through that definition as well. So the managers and auditors, both, they have an interest in using all those methods which improve the process of identification of the risk, controls, whatever controls have been levied, they are appropriate or not, so that the efficiency and effectiveness. Whenever we talk about the efficiency, it is always in context of operations of the organizations, operations of maybe of a particular department. And when we talk about effectiveness, so it is with respect to entire organization or entity as a whole. So when we talk about this control self-assessment, so we study here. So it's the effectiveness, overall effectiveness, which comes into the scenario. So that means for whatever the organization's mission and vision is, it should be achieved. And to facilitate the same, it is the joint responsibility, especially of the managers as well as the internal auditors, which is referred to as the control self-assessment, to look into it. So everybody in the class is aware about the concept of control self-assessment so that we can start with the different kinds of approaches associated with it. So the concept of CSA, the control self-assessment, is clear. We had a deep discussion in the previous lecture as well. For this very particular purpose, you can watch the lecture number 2 as well. Today is our lecture number 3 with respect to the approaches part. But an interesting point is that whenever we talk about this CSA, so how do internal auditors use CSA? That's a very important point as such. Before moving further and proceeding further to the kind of approaches, this is really important. How the internal auditors, they actually use this. Because when it comes to, hiring of internal auditors in their team, whether designing the process of internal audit, whether, further coordinating with the team members of the organization, because it's really very important. There has to be a, mutual cooperation between the managers and the team members of the internal audit department. Okay. So this is what they are talking about here, for which we had a detailed discussion. Now, let's start our today's session with respect to the kind of approaches for CSA, control self-assessment. So that means we talked about this thing. It is the joint response, because whenever this term strikes in your mind, immediately in your subconscious mind, you should have a click in your mind. Okay, it is the joint responsibility of the managers as well as the internal auditors to achieve the organization goal, so that the risk is properly managed and internal controls are appropriate or not, for which steps should be taken. Before proceeding further, this is really important, my dear students, to have a notion in your mind whenever we talk about, as such, the effectiveness of the entity as a whole. So two things are really very important. Rather, there are three things: GRC, governance, risk management, and control processes. What this is all about: governance, risk management, and control processes. And when we are talking about CSA, so what did we cover in CSA? Come on, be participative in the class, in the chat box. It is the joint responsibility of whom to see to it as to whether it is the risk management process or it is the control processes. Both these are properly managed. Tell me. Obviously, managers as well as internal auditors. But the different kind of approaches are there to facilitate the same. The first approach is workshop facilitation. The second one is getting the questionnaires filled with the help of a survey. The third one is the self-certification. And it's not like that if one organization is following CSA, that means the joint responsibility, because if this kind of approach is followed in any entity, so the chances are accelerated, they get increased as such for proper risk management, for proper internal controls. But here is an important catch, super duper important from MCQ perspective. Organizations, they often combine different kind of approaches. So what these different kind of approaches are: workshop facilitation, survey, that means getting questionnaires filled, or self-certification. All these three may even be combined. But technically speaking, these various kind of approaches, workshop, survey, and self-certification, used for CSA process in various kinds of organizations. So basically, what are the different kind of factors? Again, important from MCQ perspective, so I'm highlighting over here, this area. Obviously, the industry in which that organization is, the industry, it may be because of the difference in the industry, maybe because of the location or the structure of the organization, maybe it's a simple one or a complex one, or the behavior of people in that entity, the culture as such, employees empowerment, management style is autocratic, or it's as such democratic. So all these factors, they are really very important, and they serve as a base as to what kind of CSA approach has to be used out of these three. Most of the time, bigger organizations, they combine all these three kind of approaches. So far, we had a discussion quickly with respect to the CSA and then various kinds of CSA approaches. So CSA, various kinds of approaches are three in number: workshop facilitation, survey, and self-certification. But that doesn't mean whatever approach as such you are following, so it has to remain as such in a rigid manner. No, it has to be the dynamic based on the needs of the organization. You can put changes into it. So let's discuss, my dear students, each of these approaches one by one. Why these approaches are important? Why we are studying it? What's the logic behind it? Because in any organization, there is always a kind of risk element, because of which it's the responsibility of the management to put the internal controls in place. Risk is there. Yes, risk is there, because of which it's the responsibility of the management to put internal controls in place in that organization. Yes, it is never ever the responsibility of the internal auditor. It's the responsibility of the management to put internal controls in the organization. Okay, clear. But then what's the responsibility of the internal auditor as such? To give recommendations. To give recommendations as such, whatever controls are levied by the management, the internal controls, these internal controls, okay? So whenever we talk about these internal controls, so if they are not effective or needs some improvement, so in that very particular situation, internal auditor can give recommendations directly to the management as well and to the people in governance. Who are the people in governance in any organization? Obviously, the board of directors of that organization. Let's come back to our work facilitation approach, wherein we are going to have, as such, examples discussion as well at the same time, so that things become easy for you to understand. So, workshop facilitation approach. What does that mean? So, controlled self-assessment typically employs the workshop facilitation approach to self-assessment that is structured, documented, and repetitive. So, again, a very important MCQ pops up here. As such, when is this workshop facilitation approach is considered? So, in those circumstances, when the assessment is a quite structured one, especially if we talk about the medium scale and the large scale organizations, proper, documented, and a kind of repetitive approach. So, we will also cover this with the help of an example as well, but for the time being, we are making a base. So that means whenever you are talking about the workshop facilitation approach, so there has to be proper planning and preliminary audit work as well. As to whenever people are discussing about various things in that workshop, who will be the meeting facilitator? Who will take, and if it is even an online one, so who will take the online transcription of the session, whatever is going on? So it has to be properly, penned down, right? Just like, if we have our meeting, whether the board meeting or an other kind of meeting, so there is always, as such minutes. You understand minutes? Whatever things are decided in the meeting, so they are actually as such penned down, right? Just like that. So apart from this, there has to be a proper voting technology and anonymity. That means the name of the person, it should be hidden. Why? Because let's take an example over here so that things become easy for you to understand. If we're talking about a workshop, so everybody in the organizations, let's say there is a organization ABC Limited. So some of its employees, then apart from this, senior managers and internal auditor team members. So they all have joined. They all have joined this meeting. So some of the team members are of the opinion, let's say internal auditing team members of the ABC Limited. So they are of the opinion that In the accounts department, so there is no segregation of duties. So that's the weak point. There is no segregation of duties. Some persons are performing dual tasks, because of which, so there is a kind of risk involved. So everybody in the organization is asked to vote. So they are saying, so whenever the voting process is being followed in this very particular, let's say we are having this example in our class discussion as of now. So it has to be with anonymity. Anonymity means to say with name hidden as to who has voted for which opinion. Okay. So if there is the kind of deficiency in the control system, so steps need to be taken or not. So such kind of things they are talking about. Let's come back. So the process or the steps for such an approach, which kind of approach? Work facilitation approach includes the following elements. There has to be proper planning and auditing work, as we discussed earlier as well. There has to be a meeting facilitator, participant with anonymity that we just discussed just now with the help of an example as well. And all the participants are referred to as process owners, the management and even the staff. Whosoever is involved in the particular issues under examination, so they are referred to as process owners. And there has to be a proper agenda for this workshop facilitation as to what are the kind of things which would be considered as a base in that very particular meeting. So what is the agenda? Things which are actually decided in a meeting, which are supposed to be decided in a meeting. So that is called agenda. So there has to be a proper agenda by the facilitator, so that that facilitator may lead the group. Okay. Then there has to be proper reporting and the development of what further course of action needs to be followed. Then this kind of facilitation approach has, now your full concentration is required over here for the next few minutes. This workshop facilitation approach has 4 kinds of possible formats. 4 kinds of formats. The first one is the objective-based format. If we talk about the objective, so that means they're talking about the control procedures. Okay. Control procedures are working effectively or not within the acceptable level of the organization. Let's make a table over here so that things become easy for you. Workshop facilitation approach formats possibility. Right? Objective, risk-based, control-based, process-based. Objective. When we talk about objective approach, only this thing is to be considered, whatever the controls which have been levied in that organization. So they are working, in fact, they are appropriate or not. And if there is still possibility of any residual risk, then it is to an acceptable level or not. We will cover this with the help of an example as well, so that things become more easy for you at the same time. But you need to understand the objective-based format is always the best way to accomplish a business objective. So 2 things are important over here. The first one is to achieve a specific business objective, point number 1, for which whatever controls are levied in the organization, so these controls are appropriate or not. This is being checked. And still, if there is any possibility of any residual risk, you understand, For example, let's take an example over here. There is an organization, so there is a possibility, there is a go down, and the one person is, there is a watchman over there, and another person is who is keeping a track record as to how many items they are shipped out of the warehouse and how many items they're coming into the go down as such. So there are two separate persons appointed over there. Two separate persons are there. But still, there is one person possibility if they both of them indulge into any kind of connivance or collusion as such. So still there is a kind of residual risk in that very particular go down in the given example, right? And it may as such lead to a kind of risk in that organization. So hereby we are talking about the kind of risk, the such kind of risk is referred to as, which we covered over here in the given example, residual risk. For example, in the given example, we talked about this thing. Still, after segregation of duties in the go down, if both the persons they enter into a mutual collusion, okay, will steal some of the items from the go down and something like that. So there is still a kind of risk involved, which is called a kind of still some risk is there. So it is that risk is X to an acceptable level or not. This is what they're talking about here. So this is called objective-based format with respect to the workshop facilitation approach. Objective-based format to achieve a specific objective. So that means the aim of this such kind of workshop is to decide whether the control procedures are working effectively or not. So that means if residual risk is not acceptable to an acceptable level as such, so a workshop may be organized wherein the managers, the employees, the team of the internal audit department, everybody participates and give his or her opinion so that a further decision making can be taken into account as to what would be the further course of action. If there is any burglary in the future course of time, how to deal with that. This is what they're talking about here in the objective one. Let's come across another one that is a kind of risk-based format. So it focuses on the risk, obviously. Here our main focus was to achieve the business objective, and so that whatever the controls are there, they're operating effectively or not, and not to see in detail as to whether if there is any kind of residual risk, it is to an acceptable level or not. That is a secondary one. The primary thing was in this objective based format, what was the primary thing? The best way it emphasizes is to accomplish a business objective for which we need to check whether whatever the control procedures are there, they are working effectively or not. But when we talk about this risk-based format, the main emphasis is on the risk itself to achieve an objective. As to whatever control procedures they have been, as to determine this thing, whatever control procedures are there, so they are sufficient enough to manage all kind of important risks. So here in risk-based format, our main focus is on key risk, important risk, because of which when we organize any kind of workshop in the organization, so the significant risk, whether the residual risk or the other kind of significant risk, they are taken into account. So what is the major difference when we talk about the workshop facilitation formats? What is the major difference between these two? Here we checked, our main emphasis was to accomplish a business objective for which the control procedures are working appropriately or not. But when we talk about this risk-based format, so it emphasizes on various kind of risks to achieve an objective, and specifically the important risks are taken into account. And later on, the workshop is organized to determine whether if there are any kind of significant risk as such, so how to deal with such kind of risk. But when we talk about this control-based format, as the name itself suggests, whatever controls have been put in the organization, they are working effectively or not. So it is the responsibility of the facilitator in the workshop itself to identify the key risk. Because when we are talking about this thing, okay, you are organizing a workshop in the organization. So whose responsibility is to identify the important risk and the important controls to handle those kind of risks? It is the responsibility of the leader of that workshop, referred to as the facilitator, whosoever the person is. They assign the responsibility. But one thing is for sure, it is the collective responsibility of the entire team as to analyze, as it is the responsibility as such, whatever risks are there, so sufficient controls are there to mitigate or not. Whatever risks are there, sufficient controls have been put in place to mitigate such kind of risk or not. Mitigate mean to say reduce. So sufficient controls are being there in the organization. They have been put in place as such to handle such kind of risk. Controls are there or not, so that, so if there is any gap. So what is the major, when we talk about the control based formats in the workshop facilitation, it means if there is any gap between risk and controls. What this is all about, risk and controls. For example, the risk is higher, but the controls, they are less. So that means there is a big gap, right? Sufficient controls would have been taken into consideration as such. So additional controls, they must be recommended in that very particular workshop. This is what they're talking about here. Then next comes the process-based format. Process-based format. First was objective, then was risk, then was control. The fourth one is the process-based format. So every organization has a series of processes from beginning till end. Whether if we talk about any kind of manufacturing organization, so it has to purchase, it has to, as such, develop a product by various stages and steps. Then it is developed, finally it is sold, and the revenue is generated. So what is this process-based format? If there is a need in a particular process, need for what? A workshop. So it should be organized dedicatedly for that very particular process. This is what they're talking about here. So the workshop format, they may have a greater breadth of analysis in a control-based approach by covering multiple objectives. But when we talk about here in the process-based format, is to evaluate the whole process as such. For example, let's take an example over here, process-based format. But before the workshop, let's take a situational analysis. There is a product which passes through 3 stages as such. Stage number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stage number 1, 2, and 3. But there is a risk at stage number 2 if there is any negligence on the part of the worker as such. So the finishing gets, maybe it's a type of cloth, right? So if there is not proper finishing, so the finished product cannot be marketed at the prevailing price whatsoever is there in the market. It has to be sold below that. So there is a kind of risk involved here in stage number 2. So if we talk about this process, so there has to be a workshop, especially with the, the head of the manufacturing department and the internal audit team members. So what kind of, if there is any automation can be done to reduce this error to an optimum level. So what if there is anything which can be done to it? So to take the steps accordingly. So this is what they're talking about here. But if we talk further about this workshop facilitation from the perspective of control self-assessment, because we talked here, there are three kinds of approaches: workshop, survey, and self-certification. So far, we have covered in a very detailed manner the workshop facilitation. Now let's start the discussion with respect to the survey as such, then we'll come to the third one, that is self-certification as well. What is a survey? Survey mean to say there has to be proper questionnaires, a list of questions wherein you can have a remark with respect to whatever question is there. You have to give the answer, yes or no, or there may be a open-ended question as well, for which you can give the explanation as per your own opinion, right? But specifically when we talk about the survey approach, so most likely, so there is a kind of answer whether yes or no, or have not questions. Why this is, but there can be a series of questions with respect to the open answers as well. But it also depends upon the culture of the organization to limit the open-ended answers. What is the main motto behind this? When we are talking about this controlled self-assessment, so the various kind of questionnaires can be circulated to the team members, that means employees, internal auditors, and even the senior managers, whatsoever their opinion is with respect to the risk associated in the organization and controls according to them, according to their specific department. So this will enable the internal auditors along with the organization, along with the other team members, because what is the main motto in the CSA? Control self-assessment itself states everybody in the organization should participate, right? Although it is the collective responsibility of the managers and the internal audit team members to see to it as to whether risks are appropriately managed and controls, whatever controls are there in the organization which have already been put into place, are appropriate or not, and if not, proper recommendation should be given for more controls. Let's proceed further with respect to the third one. Third kind of approach, that's the self-certification approach. Self-certification approach for the CSA. So this form of self-assessment is based on management-produced analysis of selected business processes. So that means when we talk about the self-certification approach, as the name itself suggests, it's a kind of management analysis. And it is carried out not with respect to the in entirety, rather specific process or specific risk management activity or specific control as such. But certainly, it is although prepared by a team from the staff members, from the management itself, but the internal auditor may synthesize this analysis with his or her reasoning as such, internal auditing team member. In a nutshell, we can say all self-assessment programs, whether workshop, survey, or self-certification, it is the joint responsibility of the managers and the team members to see to it as to if there is further kind of improvement is needed, it should be put in place immediately with no further procrastination there too. But at the same time, for any kind of training sessions, especially in the workshop, every organization, see, it uses its control framework. For example, COSO, which is one of the, framework, control framework model. So it is the responsibility of the team members as well as the management to see to it things are covered in entirety, in completeness as such. So what's the summary out of it? When we talk about CSA, that is control self-assessment, it means there are three kind of things we have already covered: price, self-assessment, survey, workshop facilitation. But what's the main important takeaway from this? What's the important takeaway from this? The CSA practitioners use different kind of methods and formats to manage the risk. But as such, the first and foremost thing is, first you need to identify the risk. Apart from this, although there is no risk as of now, but the organization is exposed to such kind of risk. So risk identification and the exposure towards different kind of risk. Then sufficient controls are being put in place in that organization to handle such kind of risk or its exposures, and then to reduce to an acceptable level so that the objectives are achieved as such. So this is your CSA. Now, in tomorrow's session, we are going to have a discussion with respect to the audits of third parties and contract auditing. Let me just stop the recording and see to it if there are any messages in the chat box.